Welcome, my friends, and here we are with the Alderman from Ward 7, Ray Drapeau. Thanks for coming in.
All right, no problem, man.
Look at you brought.
I brought the sun with me, yeah.
I know it, because we've had enough bad weekends to go. I said, geez, here it is Monday, and it's a perfect day, just perfect. I don't know, it must be 80 degrees. A little breeze right here. We're in east. We're in the west side at the McElhenney, what would you call this, recreation field?
I'd say, yeah.
Who plays here?
Right now, Recreation has the control of the property, so they'll be scheduling soccer games here. I also was told lacrosse wants to practice and play here. They've had a little bit of action recently, but the seasons are kind of over, so they're not really utilizing it to its full potential right now. What I've saw even more recently is the neighborhood is starting to pick up that it's available, and I see pickup games.
Kids down,
soccer.
kids come down,
kids
kick
come
the
down,
ball around.
See maybe 10 or 15 people on the field playing and enjoying the new field. So I'm happy with it. I think it's a good use of the land. And
was this another added on to DeLong's
yes.
responsibilities?
Yes.
Cut the grass.
Parks
and
Department
all that
has the
stuff?
responsibility. Yeah.
Geez, they just every time they built something, they just give it to them and say, "Hey, go do this."
Yeah.
What was he doing 10
you
years ago?
want to do more with less, right? That's the
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. So now, Ray, you've been on the city council for a few years now. You must be a pretty experienced guy. Now you've been chairman of finance for
about 6 or 7 now. 7, I'd say.
7. It's the same. I mean, you must know it by heart. You know, paid.
Yeah, it gets pretty routine after a while. Yeah.
So is there any, my biggest question is, like, even Scott Galvin, he's done a pretty good job. I think along with the council, keeping the tax rate as good as possible. But, you know, I said, Jesus, when he came in, I think it was like 100 million. Around that. So I don't know if you remember what it was the first time you took over finance. Yeah. When you first went on finance like 6, 7 years ago, that must have been in before.
We were under 100 million, I think, at that time. Yeah.
So I mean, nothing goes up. I mean, nothing goes down, but the price goes up. Inflation alone, gasoline, blah blah blah. We're not spending a lot of money, but is that sustainable? What do you think?
Yeah, I think the path that we've taken is very sustainable because we haven't grown exponentially. We've just kept up with inflation, 3-4% at a time, and it does add up over a period of years, obviously, and now it's probably roughly around 130 or whatever. But I think everybody involved, the council, the mayor, has kept, to a minimum the increase that they could potentially have.
The schools, we beat them up every year, pretty much.
I think the schools I told the schools this year, when I initially got on, I was very skeptical about how the financing went on the school side and whether they were getting the best bang for their buck. I've learned over the years that it's not the city council's job to critique what the school department does. And I've also grown to realize that they do a lot with the 3 or 4% that they get every year. There's a lot of demands on their monies, especially with special education. It's an unfunded mandate, as you know. Most of the time, we do get some money from the state, but it's not at the level that I think that it needs to be. And so I think over the years,
it's never going to be up there.
No, it's never going to be. And I think what's happened over the years that I've been on the council is you've seen their ability to improve programs erode. They don't have the monies necessary to improve the regular education side of the budget. They're just trying to keep up with the special education side of the budget. Now, don't get me wrong. I think those individuals deserve the top amount of resources that we have.
Everybody
the people in the most need should get the most dollars. It's just the way it goes, and I'm comfortable with that. But I do want to say that we could use a little bit of infusion of money to try to build up the regular ed programs and try to build on some successes that they've had. They sometimes get grants on a particular year to try something new, but then the next year that rolls around, the grant's not there, and then they have that nice, successful program, and they can't fund it.
I thought that the best thing that the reason they get away with, I don't say get away with, but I think the best thing they have going for them is when you guys say, okay, at 46 million or whatever it is, and 40 million, check goes over there.
Right.
It's not all in lines, you know what I mean? So they
That's
can
correct,
they
right.
can move it around.
They can
and
move it around
pay
as
for
much
it
as they
how
want.
they want.
Absolutely.
You know, and then I think it's the other problem. Not a problem. The other thing they have going for them is the principal's responsible for the school. Everybody in it, the teachers, the custodians, the builder, you know, buy the toilet paper, buy this, buy that. He's responsible for his building. So that makes it a lot easier for them to handle the kind of money they get. So
they were able to do two things that I thought were important. They wanted a new assistant principal at the high school and an assistant principal for the Reeve School because it's busted at the seams.
Yeah.
So I thought those were good additions. There's a lot of oversight now in the, especially at the high school level, with critiquing teachers' performance and keeping up to speed on all the regulations. So it did require another assistant principal to keep that process going and not overburden the ones that are already there.
Yeah, because I talked one afternoon with Dr. Reese. He's in charge of the education part of it, you know, the assistant.
The curriculum side of it.
Yeah, curriculum side of it. And of course, I don't know how it was when you were in the first grade, but it's changed. It keeps changing. You know what I mean? It keeps changing. The kids, I remember when the kids come home and said, "This is modern math, Dad." I said, "No, I'm modern math. What 2 and 2 is 4? How can it change?" You know what I mean? But it's a different way they teach it.
Yeah.
So the kids are better off. I don't know. And then the next thing of coming down the road for them is going to be, they want the kids in school at 4. They want them to be 4 years old. 3's too young, but 4 is good because these kids are coming to school now. You know, they can read, write, and type, and run a computer and talk on a phone.
No, you're right. I'm amazed at the level of competency and now in the younger kids. You see some of my younger relatives and how they can play with a computer, little iPad, and
no question.
They get through it much faster than I can.
Every week there's some kid that saved his mother's life by going on the phone and calling the police department or something. You know,
they seem to be smarter.
Yeah, there's no question about it. So how's things in the ward? Is it quiet? It's quiet over here.
It's quiet over here.
You don't have
we
no.
tend to. This is the the bedroom ward.
Bedroom ward, yeah.
That's kind of like we're kind of laid back. We're transient, carpetbaggers.
Carpet bag, everything.
So we're not like we're not infused into the politics of Woburn as much as I think the rest.
How
of the
come
city
they don't? The Taki School's lot. That's like
it's open space.
I know.
It's open space.
Just leave it like that.
Leave it like
it's
it
been like
is.
that forever, huh?
Yeah.
They can't come up with anything that you could do over there outside of Maker Park. I'm a little park. We got a lot of open space.
You got a lot of open space.
Yeah.
You think so?
I think so. So I think, you know, I mean, like this field here, I wasn't so happy about spending the money, except we wanted to get in here and do something on this particular piece of property.
Yeah, we bought the land, so we got a grant from the state, which helped us build this property. I think it didn't need much reconfiguration. It was an open field like this before we started. Yeah. We just converted it into a usable space. We gave it some drainage and created some wet drainage, a stream that can flow through, and I think it was a win for the whole community. It also put on our books more open space so that we can meet the 40B requirement. We're not quite there yet, but if it lent a hand in keeping 600 apartments out of here, I think it did a.
Well, that would have been something.
It was a good use of our money.
We wouldn't have got over that for 50 years. I don't know.
No, it would have devastated our infrastructure and school system. And
now, do you ever see any plans? Remember, they didn't, like some university, like Harvard or somebody, come up here with some kids and draw some plans.
Yes, UMass. There were UMass graduate students. They came in, they did a whole green space plan for us, and this is the first stage of it right here.
Yeah.
This field was part of that plan. So we've implemented the first stage of it, and then we have some trails that we want to build in through these woods here with another grant from the state. I believe there's some applications in for that.
And it connects with Burlington's.
And it connects with Burlington's side, which is favorable. It also has Mary Cummins Park all around it, which makes it one of the largest urban parks in the whole area for a
inside
for a city.
128.
Inside 128 at least.
Yeah.
It's a great win for all the communities around here. And if you noticed, and I think a lot of people don't take into consideration when they talk about the West Side, is that the Burlington industrial plex borders us here on the West Side.
Yep.
So if you just go down the South Bedford Road, which is only less than a mile away from here, and take a left, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we get just as much traffic as they get on Washington Street in East Woburn. So to have this buffer for the residents is a great win for the whole community.
So what else we got going? We got Herb Chambers, famous Herb Chambers, sells every car there is made.
Yeah, he does. He's
Probably
got a great
sells
business.
Russian cars, who knows? You know what I mean? I see an ad, he has an ad in the Globe every day, a full page ad, must cost a fortune.
Yep.
But he's been very successful for a long period of time, and now he's been rattling the cages in City Hall for a while. He wants to. Because I don't live here. I mean, I live on the other side. So I mean, all of the reasons that they used, I think the opponents used about parking cars down there, I wasn't sympathetic at all for whatever. I think, you know, a big trailer truck comes down there. Big trailer trucks go everywhere. You know what I mean? I used to drive a big trailer truck, so it's not a big deal to get a car carrier in there. And I don't know how many cars. So I hear this number, 400 cars.
Yeah, it started out at 500. It's down to 400. What I like about the project, that's going to change the frontage to all green space. Before the chain link fence, if you go down there right now,
you have parking lot is?
You have about where the parking lot is about maybe 150 some odd cars that could park out front.
Yeah.
That's going to be totally eliminated, and it's going to be all green spaced with new arborvitaes and trees. And then along the side where it borders some apartment buildings and some housing, they're going to put some stockade fence in, some more green space. So they're trying to shelter it from the community that's driving by, just to try to give it a look that you wouldn't notice it. Now, I drove by there when I was in the process of looking at the project, and I looked at the apartments that are next door. They have a parking lot the size bigger, I would say, than the parking lot that will be existing when this is finished, if it gets passed, with several hundred cars in it. And the thing that you don't see is there's a big mound where the high tension wires come by, and it kind of blocks you the view. So that's why I asked to build up the frontage to kind of block the view. So I think if we do that tastefully, which I saw the plans and it does look tasteful, I think 400 cars being there will be no different than 400 cars being at the Cadillac dealership or the Chrysler dealership that we have. It's an industrial zoned area for commercial use, a commercial use area, and it's not going to be converted to. If you convert it to apartments, I've done a little bit of research on that. There are 77 children that get picked up on a bus at the Locust Street apartments that go to the Reeves School. So if you want another 50 kids or 40 kids, you know, that's going to put a strain on our ability on that particular school. It's already at the limit. So I would say that all in all, it's not the most desirable project, but sometimes when you look at things like this, you got to kind of pick your poison. Is it going to be an apartment building with more kids going to school, using more water, more trips out, in and out all day long, you know, taxing the roads and traffic?
He doesn't own it. He's renting it, right?
He's leasing the land. The guy that owns the Chrysler building in New York owns it.
Yeah, Rosa. We had Rosa, Mrs. DiTucci, I should say. You know, which she's on the city council too. So last week she's on a butter here to this same.
Yeah, she has Ward 1 abuts it as well. Yeah.
So she was talking about that, about the owner of the property doesn't want to give up that industrial
no, he doesn't.
designation. And then she said there's some other secondary plan where it turns into residential if sooner or later, if everything went one way or the other, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean.
But I really think that if he sells enough cars down there to annoy people, then he's making a lot of money, I can tell you that, because this is just the Hondas or just all kinds of cars are going
all cars. He has 3 dealerships in Burlington,
Burlington.
And he'll be storing, every dealership will have some storage there.
Yeah.
And he's promised not to do more than 2 truckloads of cars a day, which I think is reasonable, and avoid the hours of operation for the school so he doesn't interfere with the drop-off or the pickup.
Right.
There's a lot of conditions, a lot of remedial work on the property. Right now it looks like an abandoned building. You got squatters every once in a while. A big bus just pulled in yesterday and parked out front, and once in a while you see some tow trucks in there, and you know it's just not the. I don't, aesthetically right now I don't think it's looking too good, and I think at the least this will at least make it look cleaner, newer. He's going to repave.
Something has to go there.
Something will go there. That's
the people have short memories. You know what I mean? Unless they're new to the neighborhood, because I mean the Edison, the phone company was there. The Edison was there with trucks and all that kind of stuff. The city of Woburn felt very close to moving there when they were going to do the barns over down in North Warren. They were going to move over there, which I think would have been a good sight. Maybe not for the neighbors, seeing how many trucks and snowplows would be going in and out.
Yeah, that would have been a lot more detrimental to the neighborhood if you had DPW there.
That's right.
And if you bring he could rent it out to a Comcast, and they could have all their service vehicles there. It's a allowed use under the current permitting, and if that came in, it would be a lot more detrimental, in my opinion. Parked cars don't bother most people. You know, I don't think so.
No. So now, what do you think? You talk to your constituents and yourself and your wife and everybody. What do you think about the Demoulas situation?
I think the Demoulas situation, the thing that fascinates me about the Demoulas story is his ability, IDT now, to get the loyalty of these employees that will give up their jobs, stay on a picket line all day long, to fight for him to regain control as CEO. As a management person who manages people on a regular basis, I like to study that case and find out what kind of qualities this gentleman has that could make people disloyal to him. Besides that, I think it's really hurting a lot of people, because we were talking a little bit before the show that, you know, you have people, when you raise taxes up 1% or something, and their bill goes up $30, $40, and then that, like we said earlier, it accumulates over the years, and now it's $100 and $200 more. It starts to affect people's quality of life. Some people are on fixed incomes. It affects their ability to spend. Think of what a food bill does to somebody. You know, if you raise your food bill $50 a week, because if you go to a Stop and Shop or a Roach Brothers, which a lot higher cost, that's $200 a month, which most people don't have at the lower income levels and fixed income levels. So I think right now it was a great resource that is missing, and a lot of people are hurting because of it. I hope these people work out their differences, because I think they're going to kill their brand in another month.
It has to begin to hurt. People start going. I had to go over to Stop and Shop in Reading, and I like to go to the store and shop, so I know something about the prices. And everything in all the other stores is like 10 or 15 cents higher, you know, each particular item. So, I mean, they're very happy to see Demoulas disappear. You know what I mean? They like to see him. But, you know, 25,000 employees, and without a union guy standing up there beating them on the head saying, stay out here all day long. And these people just say, love this guy. You know, he's not he's an elderly gentleman, too.
No, he's an elderly gentleman, but I guess he treated him with respect. He treated him like human beings. He went to their funerals and wakes. And
did all that
I
stuff.
heard kids' baseball games, co-signed loans. I mean, there's a lot of different things. I think Harvard Business School is going to be studying him, or they should at least hire him as a business management consultant.
I think these universities will be sending somebody over there all the time trying to study. How do you get that many people to move in your direction? It's almost an impossibility, you'd think, but it's really something to see. So that's about, what else you got going in the wood? Everything over here is kind of quiet.
Everything's quiet. We're looking forward to finishing up the Dix Road Extension pump station. It's well underway, and it's going to be finished pretty soon, and we're going to repave the street.
How do they get this nuisance? I never drove up Sylvanus. I remember when LaChulas built all those houses up there.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought he did a pretty good job over in the beginning. I don't know how it turned out after 20 years, or maybe a little more now. But what do you got, a nuisance house up there? How does that work? These houses are not
Well, there's
old.
some people, and I have a few of them in my ward, and it's very difficult to deal with. They don't keep up with their house. They'll start repairs on their house and then stop. midstream, or they just let them go into such disrepair. You know, everybody around them keeps calling you saying, Ray, is there anything you can do? I mean, it's driving down the value of my house. If I wanted to sell my house, someone coming looking at the house is going to look next door and see this eyesore. So sometimes it gets to the level where we get the building inspector involved, and we file a nuisance complaint, and then it goes to court, and they get fined if they
Because
don't.
what was the other one? The other one was over where?
There was
the
two
little
on
one
Sylvanuswood Lane.
Okay,
You know, right across the
Did
street
that
from
house
each
ever
other.
get torn
Yeah,
down?
that one got sold by the bank to a new owner, which renovated it, and I think it's doing okay now.
Oh, really, huh?
Yeah, it's the house across the street.
Oh, all right. So that's good. That's good. So when's the next council meeting? Next week?
Yeah, the 14th, I believe. We're having a committee meetings tonight, and then we'll be meeting on the 14th.
So that'll be Herb Chambers.
That'll be the vote on Herb Chambers. We'll have a committee meeting tonight about it, button up all the conditions. I think it has pretty decent favorability. I wouldn't bet on the result of the vote.
No, I'd never bet on it. No.
But I think it's starting to gain momentum. I think they've done a lot of work. Joe Tabi representing them, as you know, is a great orator and presents his case pretty well.
Pretty convincingly, yeah.
He can be convincing, and I think it might have some. It might have some votes.
And, the situation over on Washington Street with the
assisted living?
Assisted living, that's already done, right?
That's going to be voted on as well the next city council meeting, but it was passed through committee favorably, which I was in favor of it. I think it's a great use of the land. It's definitely a need. My generation is starting to grow older, and I'm going to be there someday.
Right. You may be over there someday.
Yeah.
But I think everybody, I think everybody will like it. It's a nice piece of property there. You know, you drive by it all the time.
Yeah, and
you know something was going to go there.
And it's not going to be that noticeable, in my opinion.
No.
I don't think so.
No, as long as they don't go in there and wipe down every tree in sight.
No, I don't think they're going to do that.
No. So basically, I think that's about all that's going on in Ward 7, the Sunset Ward. That's what we used to call it in the olden days, the Sunset Ward.
Yeah, everybody's doing pretty well over here. We're happy to have the good weather and summertime, and we'll.
My daughter lives up on Revere Road.
I saw that.
I'm gonna say, geez, you lived here for a few months. You already get the street getting hot topped. Come on.
Yeah.
You must have friends in the neighborhood. You don't have the Scally Dam. I think that's a pretty good project too. I don't understand where that money comes, but that's just money that seems to grow out of the legislature once in a while.
Yep.
You know what I
mean?
They
call that pork barrel money?
Yeah, I said, where does that money come from? You know, you say, oh, we're gonna give it to Winchester. They're gonna come up and fix the dam. You know, it's the same thing. I'm gonna yell at Dwyer a little bit before we go off the air, because you know it's the same thing in the State House. Those guys say, well, we got $20 million. The governor says he's going to spend $10 million fixing his office. The Senate says, well, we'll fix our place. And so these other guys, they say, oh yeah, we'll do it too. They don't even have. I checked. They don't even have an architect or a painter or anything. They just say, we'll just provide the money. You know, normally you'd say, why don't you just fix the roof if it's leaking?
Yeah.
And then next year we'll paint. But no, in there they got to do it all at once, because the tourists come and they want it to look beautiful. You know. And
I think one of the biggest problems is it's a one-party state. And,
yes, it is. It is a problem. It is a problem. There's no question about that. All right. And the public hearing remains. It's Thursday afternoon for the NISCO. He's the architect that's picking the spot for the. I don't think he'll.
I use him. I work with him in Lexington. He built our latest school. He's a very good architect. Very.
He has his daughter with him, I guess.
Has his daughter with him. Very, very thorough, and I think they're going to do a great job. I think picking the site is going to be the biggest issue. My take on it is the Mormon site. I think that's the one which we'd have to purchase, and which it makes it a little bit more difficult to do. But it doesn't affect Spence Farm, which was bought for open space. I don't want to see them lose that. And the Hurld site is just too tight.
Oh, that's too tight.
Yeah,
it has to be. I mean, the mayor's going to say, I got to represent, well, I don't know what he's going to say. I don't talk to him, but really, but he's going to say, I got a fiduciary responsibility to all the residents of the city of Woburn, not the ones up there. And I told Vince Grillo this, and I was talking to Rosa about it last week, and she told me that the Mormon church site, or the loft seat, or whatever the hell they call it, is centrally located. I said, come on, you can look at a map. It's in Burlington, for God's sake. You know? And I don't believe that the Mormon people in the Mormon religion, once they get a piece of property, are anxious to give it up, because I think they're too hard to get now. You know, to buy a piece
maybe
of
you're right.
church.
I don't know.
So I think it's very difficult.
Then it will be on the Spence Farm site, and I think there's a lot of people that want it there. And
the only thing I would say to the people who live up there, and Mr. Grillo's constituents, that they got to make sure stay on the horn, because if they get water in the cellar there, because the school's being built, that's going to be a problem. Mm-hmm. But there's a problem there with drainage. Now, I don't know who and how they're going to ever spend the money.
You could deal with drainage. I don't think drainage is an issue when you're doing new construction. You can divert it to different spots if you have to.
But see, I think people misunderstand that the planning board can only discuss the situation that's before them. It's usually on a piece of paper about this big. Mm-hmm. So now they don't get to go down to Main Street and walk the whole place. You know, the whole place is flooded, all from Warren Cummins' house in the back. Yeah. Dunkin' Donuts had to buy more property.
Area,
It's a tough area.
It is.
You know, so I mean, there's a lot of water there. But I mean, it looks like where Melanson is building his houses, and they got half a dozen of them going there now. There's a swale there that they put in. If any water comes in there, the kids will drown and be able to go kayaking down that little river that's big. But I mean, engineering-wise and conservation-wise, we've always gone a little bit too far, in my opinion, as far as making people do stuff, you know. But anyway, that's immaterial. How much time we got? 2 minutes? All right. I want to give you take a break, Ray. Sit there for a minute. I want to talk a little bit about my friend from the 30th Middlesex District. Now, I was reading in the Times that he voted that the people that protest at abortion clinics should be as protected as the people going in there. Now, that was defeated, but he voted for it, and I think it was a mistake. And him and I get along pretty good, but I have to keep him on his toes as far as some votes are concerned. You know what I mean? I
would side with Jimmy on that issue.
You would say that the people that are protesting should have the same protections as the people walking in the
It's a right of free speech, and there's a lot of people who feel very strongly about that issue. It's a very controversial issue, so I wouldn't want to debate it with anybody. But I can tell you right now, if someone wants to stand there with a sign and protest the actions that are going on that are contrary to their religious beliefs, I think
I'm
we
not
should
saying
protect
eliminate.
their religious beliefs.
The legislation was not to eliminate them. It was to keep those people out of a young woman's face. You know, if they want to be this far apart, 10 feet apart or whatever, they can yell all they want and talk to you and say, "Can I speak to you? Would you like to read this before you go in there?" That's all fine.
They shouldn't be approaching people. I would say that that's true. They should stand their ground with their sign.
That's right.
They can shout out whatever they feel is necessary. But I don't believe I believe in the right for them to be there.
Well, I might be a little bit confused, so I'll get him in. And
you might want to go over
yell
that
at
issue
him
with them a little bit.
I read it a couple of times this morning. It's in here too, but
I'll give him credit for not going the party line. I'm sure.
No, he didn't go the party line. He went the opposite way.
He got a lot of heat for that.
He got 35. He was with a bunch of guys. Got 35 votes against whatever the subtraction is. You know, maybe 100 and something. But yeah, that was an interesting vote. I said he voted with Bradley Jones, I think, who's a Republican guy. But anyway, that doesn't make any difference. I want to keep him on his toes. If you think, Mr. 30th Middlesex District, that you're going to slide by without putting that in the paper and telling people what you're doing, then I'm going to make it a point to bring it to their attention. All right. Raymond, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you,
What do you
Ed.
think you're going to do? You're going to become a lifetime city councilor?
No, Ed. I'm going to give you an exclusive today.
All right. This is your last term?
This is my last term.
No way.
Absolutely.
Why?
Because
You don't get no
I've had 10
competition.
years. It doesn't matter. It's term limits.
It's like
forced term limits for me.
It's like joining some club and you have to go there every Tuesday night or something. You say, "Geez, Tuesday night, that isn't bad."
I don't
but-
mind the job, and I don't have any issues with the people I serve with. I think they're all great. I just think that it's time for me to move on, do other things. I've done my
Yeah,
service
that's
to
good.
the
You
community.
did a hell of a job. Yeah.
Yeah, and
What do you think
I
about
feel like
the-
someone else should get involved now.
What do you think about the cameras in the committee room?
If they choose to put them there, I'm not against them, but I think everybody should have a say in whether they want to have them in there. I don't think they should just go in without anybody's knowledge. I just showed up one day and I saw the cameras on the wall.
Yeah.
I think we should have some sort of discussion about it and come to an agreement. Maybe we tape some things and not other things. Sometimes the committee room is
You can't tape an executive session anyway.
yeah, you
but I
can't do
mean-
that. But sometimes the ability not to be on camera lends itself to solutions faster, where people don't have to be overly careful about what they're saying and doing. Not that we want to do anything sneaky. Everything's on
That's
record.
right. I agree.
It's just that sometimes it's just a better forum without cameras.
On my side, I say this, that when you watch a regular city council meeting, you know, it's all of a sudden Mr. Clerk or somebody says, well, Mr. Defoe is going to be with us tomorrow, so therefore, blah blah blah. All in favor say aye. Okay, go ahead. And then there's no discussion at all. You know what I mean? Because
You're
it's
right.
all been done the week before.
Right.
So if we could get a little bit of that at the regular council meeting, so people would understand what the issues were, you know. But you guys are all set to vote.
You think you'd be able to like splice it in, where
don't
you'd
know.
show some of the debate and then the vote?
Probably.
I think that has
Something like
merit.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that one.
I asked Mrs. DiTucci that question, and she said she has to get all dressed up now because she's going to be on TV on Monday night. But that's a woman's point of view anyway. All right, we're out of time. Ray, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Ed.
It's always a
Thanks,
pleasure.
everybody.
Next time.